Yes, yes, yes. What is up? What is up, MCR family? Another semi-weekly edition of the show, live on YouTube, podcast form, on all podcast distributors, all that fun stuff, guys. It's going to be a jam-packed show. Loma Lopez update, because there's nothing new with it, but we got to update it, I guess, because, people like Mike Coppinger are making tweets and shit about it, so I guess we got to discuss it. Ryan Garcia, Luke Campbell, and purse bid situation, we're going to talk about that and dissect it. A lot to get to on today's show, plus fights that happened last weekend we're going to review, fights this upcoming weekend we're going to preview, a lot. But without further ado, let me get to my co-host, Mr. Gary in Dallas. Gary, how are you, man?
I'm good. It's good to be back. It's been a little while. I am sick as a dog. I got the sweats. I got ear infection, I think.
That's why you're in a bad mood. I was wondering, man, Gary's in a bad mood before the show. I'm like, oh, right, you're sick. That doesn't make anything better.
But Mamba, I'm going to go through with it. What would Kobe do? Kobe would do the show, right?
This is
it's not a mentality in 2020.
To take it away from someone that just died. This is your flu game, right? This is
the flu game. The flu game.
Flu game. Oh, so much to get into. Gary.
I have a 2-hour Hectaton of Horror show. I got my Hectaton of Horror shirt on. Wait, 2 hours of Hectaton of Horror today, guys.
Yeah. He has shirts? I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, well, when I was in San Antonio, he was giving them away. Give them
away. Please take my shirt, please. I know you don't know who I am. Here's a shirt though with me. Gary, I'm trying not to troll this whole
I trust you. They trust me. They know who Hectaton of Horror is in San Antonio.
Oh my god, I love this show. I was so excited for this because we just had the 10 of horror news, right? Let alone. So I knew we could have just riffed a good hour and a half on just that. We could have had fun with it. I could have just trolled the entire show, right? But we got a ton of news to get into. Regis Prograis, leaving Lou DiBella. It's a jam-packed show. It's really surprising how much news just all of a sudden just dropped. So let's get into it, Gary, because we do have a lot to get into. And
a late start, yeah.
So let's do it. First up, let's talk about this Loma Lopez update, so to speak. Mike Coppinger writes progress is being made toward a deal for Teofimo Lopez to face Vasily Lomachenko on October 3rd. Sources tell The Athletic Loma agreed to terms last week on a deal that will pay him in excess of $3.25 million for the lightweight championship fight. Growing optimism, a deal will be struck. Then the same day, Manuk Akpayan over at Boxing Scene and LA Times reported that Loma's manager is saying, we want Lopez. If not him, then maybe we'll fight Verdejo. So, we have a little bit, in my opinion, conflicting reports on Loma Lopez in terms of how optimistic we should be. We have Loma's manager saying, hey, we already have the, backup plan, which is Felix Verdejo, which I think is a fight that Top Rank has been wanting to make for some time. We don't need Lopez. Oh, well. And we have Coppinger saying that the deal is the same exact deal. It's the same exact news we've heard. No real advancement on it has been made, even though he says that there has been, but his tweet doesn't specify what advancements have been. So I'm just growing even more doubtful that we get this fight in 2020. Gary, your thoughts?
I think we're going to get the fight. Although $3.25 million isn't a pay cut. Bob Arum said he was taking a pay cut. That's not a pay cut. It's just not a pay raise. So I don't I knew that sounded suspicious. And Fu was like, legacy fighter. He don't care about the money. Well, then he'd have to be an idiot, right? This is a dangerous sport. You get your money. Your career is short, real short. It could end whenever. He's fighting a guy naturally a lot bigger than him. Are you going to take it on short money? No.
I think that a little bit of it is Bob Arum playing the word game.
Yeah.
Right? He's taking a pay cut. He's taking $3.25 million. Well, that's not a pay cut because that's, from what we know, around his base pay nowadays. So it does just seem like, again, it's mind games. It's word games being played by the promoter and now Loma's manager. All to sort of strong arm Lopez through public pressure, through negotiation pressure, through leverage to take less money than he deserves. And that's, I think, really the simplest way to describe this story. And again, Loma and Lopez deserve pay increases. For those that have not been listening to our other shows about this issue, Loma got paid this amount of money to fight Anthony Corolla, for example, a guy that was a mandatory. That was on ESPN Plus, I believe. This is now going to be a pay-per-view, a unification against an undefeated, potentially the next guy of the division. And he's getting the same amount of pay? That's not right.
If it is pay-per-view and he can get a nice cut out of the pay-per-view, it may be worth it to take it. Trust ESPN to promote it. Wilder, Fury, I know it was a split thing, right? It wasn't really ESPN, but they did a real good job.
Yes, they did.
Maybe they'll do a real good job with this, or maybe they'll trash like Crawford Khan. I don't know, but if they're guaranteeing 3.25 plus a cut of the pay-per-view, maybe it's worth it.
PSK saying, "Sup guys?" To me and you, saying you guys are not watching the Carroll fight. He might lose. No, I'm not watching the MTK card right now.
Is that on right now? I thought it was on Thursday. It's on now.
It's on now. Yes.
I'll watch it. Why is he fighting an MT? Oh, okay. Never mind. Because he's an MTK fighter. That would be why.
That would be why. Oh, and we have MTK news to get to, by the way. Joseph Diaz later in the show. We're going to talk about him.
This is big. I don't know what to make of this, but we'll get into it later.
And they signed Lorenzo Simpson too. Like there's something to get into with all MTK rebrand that's happening right now. But digressing. Okay, Gary, I feel like we're of the same mind about all the particulars when it comes to this story. But you side with this fight's still going to happen, and I'm saying, well, no. I mean, we're at impasse here, and there's no reason for me to say that this impasse is going to go away. So why do you think it is going to go away? Why do you think we're going to get this fight this year, even though we again agree on all of the particulars of this story?
Because I don't have any evidence of this, right? Hard evidence besides what they say. I think both guys want the fight, and when both guys want the fight, normally they'll figure it out. When both guys really want the fight, and I think they do, right? Like this is Teofimo Lopez chance to kind of be undisputed, however you want to look at that. I would consider him undisputed. Even though he wouldn't have the WBC or something.
I don't know. I'll be honest. To me, this is far more in line with a Pacquiao Crawford situation for Top Rank.
I don't think Pac ever wanted that fight, though. Like, there's other easier fights that I will make the same money on. Why would I fight Crawford?
He went and fought Keith Thurman.
That's true. Like, that's true.
It's ever since then, it makes that argument harder to make because he fought Keith Thurman, who has a far better record than Terrence Crawford, period, let alone just in this division, right? So I don't know. And again, Mayweather, Oscar De La Hoya, like there seems to be a long running issue of Top Rank trying to get their next star to fight their current star. Like Top Rank just seems to always have issues making those fights. And this seems to be another one of those iterations of the next star versus the current star, and Top Rank just fumbling the ball again on making this fight. And whether that's Loma not wanting it, I don't think that's really an issue. I think it's just that Top Rank, time and time again, does not know how to treat its next generation of stars. I think that if I had to simplify maybe what the issue is for Top Rank, I think Bob Arum has no idea how to do that. That he wants to cater to the current stars because they make him more money. So therefore, he's going to cater to them. That's how promoters think. And that's why he didn't cater towards Mayweather when it came to De La Hoya. That's why he didn't cater towards Crawford when it came to Pacquiao. That's why he didn't cater towards Teofimo Lopez now when it comes to Loma. Because he doesn't know how to actually translate stardom to the next generation. Stars can do that themselves, right? If I'm a star and I go beat you and you're the former generation's superstar, then I know how to leverage that into superstardom. But Bob Arum doesn't know how to do that. I think he kind of runs into an issue here. But digressing, I could rant about Top Rank just being a shitty promoter time and time again. Any other thoughts, though, on Loma Lopez? I mean, you think it's going to happen this year. I don't think it's going to happen this year. We both think both guys are being underpaid for this fight.
The one thing I would say is, Verdejo, and again, obviously Loma walks through Verdejo, right?
Yes.
Verdejo at one point was that next in line to replace Miguel Cotto as the Puerto Rican superstar. He still has a fan base, although the fight is not nearly as intriguing or really intriguing at all. Although Verdejo's a decent fighter, right? He's probably a top 10 to 15 guy. It's not a terrible fallback plan because people Verdejo still has a fan base.
Oh no, we've seen worse fallback plans. That's true.
Yeah,
but it's not the fight we want. I mean,
no.
and it's a steep drop off from the fight we do want.
Like a guy like Tanahara, dog walks, Verdejo.
Ooh, that'd be a good fight, actually.
It would be. It would be.
I wouldn't mind that. But then again, like a lot of those guys are kind of on the same level, or so to speak. Like the differences between like a Fortuna or a Tanahara, which we're going to get into, or Verdejo, are very marginal differences, to be honest. Like there's not big gaps of talent or ability between these guys. Moving on, though, unless you have any other thoughts about Loma and Lopez.
Nope.
Let's talk about the another superstar that Top Rank has that just continues to fuck up. Mike Coppinger reports that MMAonPoint and Jason Maloney are engaged in advanced talks towards a 118-pound championship fight. Top Rank VP Carl Moretti tells The Athletic. No agreement yet, but negotiations are progressing, and it appears likely a deal will be finalized for an ESPN/ESPN Plus bout. Gary, I have a few thoughts about this, but I want to get your thoughts first. So thoughts on Inoue versus Maloney, thoughts on where it could be, where do you want it to be, do you like this fight, all the above. Gary.
Sorry about that. Look, the fight I kind of expected to happen, right? I mean, I don't love it. It's not the worst thing in the world. It's kind of like when Spence fought Peterson. After Spence had that great win over Brooke, it's like, I want to see him fight someone great. And then it's like Peterson. Like Peterson's okay, and Maloney's okay. I mean, we know who wins already, and we know that Inoue wins by knockout. But like Maloney's a good fighter, so I don't have any problems with it. Where's it going to be? It's going to be in Japan, no?
I mean, they made the Maloney brothers travel from Australia, which had not zero cases at the time, but they were handling it very well, right?
But so is Japan, yeah.
But they made them travel to the U.S., where we've had over 100,000 people die.
That's their choice, right? They couldn't make the Americans travel to Australia. They shut their country off to us, right? Like, so if the fight was going to happen, and the Maloney brothers are fine with being in the bubble, you know what I'm saying? It could only happen in one place because they weren't going to let the Americans into Australia. I don't think.
True, but you don't think that Bob Arum is thinking, yeah, this fight's going to be in Vegas?
I mean, neither of these guys are a draw in the United States. They're not. And I love Inoue, but I mean, isn't this thing no pun intended, but isn't this thing a monster in Japan?
Yes. It would do millions and millions of views.
I mean, you might be right. He could put it in Vegas. When I heard it, like, it just made sense to me because Japan doesn't have a COVID outbreak that bad either. And if they did, it's like really under control now. But I don't think they really had a massive outbreak. No. And he's the star. I don't think he traveled to Australia. Like, why would he do that? So, like, Japan made natural sense to me. But you're right, Arum. You put it.
You are 100% right that it should be in Japan. Japan's the natural place for this fight. Both guys are in the same hemisphere. It just makes fucking sense. And plus, there's a real long history of actually Australian boxing versus Japanese boxing. Like, there's actually a long storied history, especially in the lower weight classes. For that. I mean, they're fierce competitors in the amateur scene as well. So that's not surprising that this wouldn't be a big fight in Japan or even Australia, obviously, but it's bigger in Japan. And I'm hoping that there's someone in that executive room, in that boardroom, that's telling Bob and Carl Moretti, hey, this fight's in Japan, right? This fight's in Tokyo, right? Like, logistically, it should be easier to make than having both guys travel to Vegas to make in the bubble. But we're talking about Bob Arum and Carl Moretti, two guys who I really don't trust when it comes to innovative promotion or just, being smart, I guess. So, I'm not picking them to or guessing that they're going to pick this fight to be in Japan. Like, that's just... You
don't think when they signed a new way that they wanted to expand kind of in Japan? Like,
they explicitly stated that they like Inoue's. I think even Inoue explicitly stated that they signed to Top Rank to become a worldwide star, not just in Japan.
Okay.
So it's the opposite. Like, the idea is that he's with Top Rank now. Now we can push him in the U.S. try to make him to a star also in the U.S. Not Top Rank going to Japan now because they have a Japanese star and holding events there and having a successful promotional company there.
It's how many non-American or Mexican stars are there in the small weight classes? Like, there's just not that many. It's going to be tough to make him a star in the U.S. Like, as good as he is, right? And he's got to claim he's the best fighter in the world.
You can make them regional stars in the Southwest United States, right? Like Roman Gonzalez Quadras sold out the Forum.
Yeah.
That's a huge accomplishment.
Yeah, it is.
Like two guys
For
at
115 pounders, right, at the time?
to sell out the Forum, which is around, I'm going to guess a 15,000 seater, right? Probably top end 15,000 seats. It sold it out and had a better crowd than a UFC event that was at that same venue that I was at that was sold out as well. It was, is it Panama versus Mexico, right? Is Roman Gonzalez Panamanian?
No, Honduran, isn't he?
Oh, no, he's Nicaraguan.
Nicaraguan, yeah.
If we're wrong, apologies. Deepest apologies here. But that was, it was the two different crowds, two different ethnic crowds. They're fighting. It was great. It was awesome. You can do that with, a new wave versus all the Latino guys that are in the low weight classes. You could do that. Make him a regional star in the LA scene, in San Diego, maybe occasionally in Mexico City and stuff like that. I know that they're trying to do shows in Arizona more often. That seems like a lot of promoters are trying to push Arizona as a market. You can try that. Texas as well. I think you can do that. Let's say a new wave versus Joshua Franco in Texas. Would that be a decent, event in San Antonio? Stuff like that you can try. Now, is he ever going to be on the cover of Rolling Stone? No, fuck no. But that's not what I think you're trying to do, to be honest. I think if you're trying to make him a guy that you can travel and make big events in certain locales. That's what you're trying to do, right? For example, if he's fighting a Thai fighter, you can put that fight in Japan or Thailand and it be a massive event. If he's fighting an Australian fighter, you put that fight in Australia, and it'll be a big event there. You're going to sell out a decent stadium. Same with fighting a Mexican fighter in LA or Mexico. You can do that to a degree, I would assume. And I think that's what Top Rank and Inoue are planning. That's their theory, or that's their goal as a partnership now, is that he can come to LA and sell the Forum against Roman Gonzalez. That was obviously planned out years ago, but Roman Gonzalez got knocked out. I think that's the goal. And Top Rank has no intention of keeping him in Japan.
Okay. I mean, that's the plan. I think he wants to be a national star. I think, he can sell regionally, like you said. I mean, is that a star? I mean, it's a very broad definition if that's a star, right? Like, is Quadras a star in the U.S.? Not really. I mean, he's a hardcore darling, right? Or Estrada, those stars in the U.S.? No. Hardcores love them, and they can sell, in certain regions. But I wouldn't say they're stars.
No, exactly. But like Roman Gonzalez is a superstar in Japan.
HBO really backed. No, you're right. He was
doing massive numbers in Japan.
Oh, in Japan. You're right. And he was kind of him and Ricardo Lopez are the two that kind of come up in my mind as stars in the real small weight classes. Michael Carbajal before that, but like they're few and far between.
Yeah, there's not a lot, and there's some reasons for that.
You better knock people out in small weight classes.
Now, to sort of digress it back to Inoue versus Maloney, I don't like the matchup at all. I think it's a backward step for a guy that was going from super fight to unification to super fight to unification to now he's fighting a guy that, for lack of a better term, he already beat up the dude that beat up Maloney. So like, why go back this step to me?
Because it's too easy not to make, right? Like it people know Maloney now. He's had a couple of fights on ESPN.
Why isn't Casamora easy to make? It's an in-house fight. One's Filipino, one's Japanese. It's closer than Japan and Australia. Like,
yeah, I agree.
Is it just because he wants more money? That's why. Like, come on. Like, let's be honest here. Top Rank is not going to make the Inoue Casamora fight because it's probably more money than they want to spend right now.
I don't know how much more Casamayor demands than Maloney. Like Maloney, Casamayor obviously destroys Maloney, right? But like, I don't know which one demands more money. I mean, they're both kind of on even draw, I would think.
I'm guaranteeing you, if it was just $100,000 difference in their payout, that's enough for Top Rank to go. Now we're gonna go Maloney.
What if they want to put Casamayor on the undercard to try to build up a Casamayor?
I will fucking stab someone. Allegedly. But allegedly. No, that's not acceptable. Like, I'm grabbing a pitchfork and rioting.
No, I don't like the fight either. It's not a great fight. Like, Maloney is okay. Like, I just knew this fight at some point was going to get made. Like, I just knew it.
No, I agree with that. But it was just like really right now, like Millian just got like a decent win off a loss. Like we don't need this right now. We don't
Yeah, just fight Rigo. Just get with Allen and have them make him the Rigo fight. Just do that. That's like my top 3 fights to make in boxing. Rigo, Inoue. Let's do it.
It really is. And like I don't feel like there's enough demand from the boxing public for that fight. There needs to be more. Like remember how dominant Loma Rigo was on like boxing Twitter, like how like you just couldn't escape that topic. You couldn't escape that on boxing YouTube or websites. Like it was articles, it was nonstop content, it was nonstop talking between the two guys and their teams and their social media reps. Like it was nonstop. All these fights talking about that are like super fights, we don't get anywhere close to that. Like even like Loma Lopez, to take it back to that, hasn't had 10% of the push that Loma Rigo had naturally.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to think about, but that's kind of the truth. Like it was the biggest topic of the sport was Loma Rigo. It was bigger than Canelo doing whatever he was doing at the time. It was bigger than Mayweather doing whatever he was doing at the time. Us fans were talking about Loma Rigo more than any other shit. We don't do that with the Inoue Rigo. We don't do that with Loma Lopez. I don't know why.
And it didn't pan out. The Loma Rigo fight did not pan out.
No, it did not. It did not. Good times. Moving on though, because I don't like this fight. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Other than it's an easy fight to make, and that's the only reason it's happening. It's just super easy. It's cheap and it's easy.
Yep.
Moving on. Let's talk about Ryan Garcia, Luke Campbell. Deal being reached, quote, in principle, writes Jake Donovan. Though I want to say today, this might have been this news might be a little bit irrelevant. Okay, it says the WBC purse bid was delayed. I want to say the purse bid actually was not delayed, and they're still having it today. I could be
the first virtual purse bid, right?
Yes. So even though this article is saying that the purse bid was delayed because that's what we were led to believe, it isn't delayed, and we're having it today, right, Gary? It is.
That's from my understanding.
Okay.
That's what I've gotten from it.
So I'm thinking that this fight's going to happen regardless if it's purse bid or we get a 11th hour deal that happens here. But good that it's happening. Like there's no way it's not happening now. I think.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Can we ever negotiate a deal without it going? I mean, fine, go to purse bids, but like, it just shows like an unwillingness for anyone to work with each other and compromise. You know what I'm saying? Like this fight will get made, so it's fine. But like, just like, let's be reasonable. Let's get the lawyers and the promoters and sit down and let's scrap out a good deal. Like, I don't know why it always has to be like pulling teeth.
PSK saying Eddie did come out and said an extension was requested. Sorry, so they can work out a deal. Thank you.
All right, please work out a deal. Let's not do this in 3 weeks where they go back to purse bids because they couldn't work out a deal.
I don't mind purse bids, and you're a libertarian. You should be all in favor of purse bids.
I'm also in favor of like reasonable people negotiating things out voluntarily. Yeah,
like for like brotherly fraternity when it comes to like deals and partnerships. Yes, absolutely agree. But it's boxing. That's not
it's not gonna happen, right?
The goodness of your heart, no.
Like in baseball, you get players that go to arbitration. Yeah, but most of the time they just work out a contract. Like every good player has to go to arbitration. Like it doesn't work that way. You know what I'm saying? Like they just that's a good deal. Let's get the agents together and let's work something out.
Rob, thank you for the help. St. Purse bid was yesterday. They requested a 7-day extension. Thank you, Rob.
Okay, 7 days I can live with. Don't give me another 2 weeks if they don't work this out. Just work it out, though. Like you can't work out a contract in 7 days. Like just get it done.
It's okay. This fight's really good. This fight's like honestly one of the best fights on the docket this year. Maybe not.
It is. It is a good fight. It's a really good fight. I don't know who wins the fight. I picked Campbell, but I don't know that.
It's not the best, but in terms of it has me probably the most intrigued. It's up there. Like Charlo Rosario and Charlo Derevchenko are clearly exponentially better fights than this, but this one's really intriguing. This one's perhaps the most interesting one of the bunch. It's more interesting and intriguing than Donero Bali, even though that's a better fight. This is more intriguing. This is a fantastic matchup.
Who do you pick
in this one?
Yeah, You can change your mind later on, but like, what's off the top of your head?
I don't need to change my mind. It's Ryan Garcia. He's going to knock out Luke Campbell.
Are you just a fan of him because he's in the Canelo camp now? Is that what changed? All right.
No, that's not true. You can't say that. Don't do that, Gary. Okay? First off, don't let the listeners know that I stand Canelo more than you stand Texas fighters or Rob stands UK fighters.
I don't know that that's true.
It's up there. Okay, you Canelo. Jonah Carroll lost. Damn. Ugh.
Is this on the ESPN app? Do I get that? Is this?
I don't know. I don't know if any of those. I would assume so, to be honest.
Yeah, I do want to watch it if it's on. I guess I could go to Daily Motion tomorrow. I mean,
allegedly.
I mean,
allegedly.
No, don't do that.
We don't
definitely don't go to Daily Motion and watch the Jonah Carroll fight. Definitely don't do that.
Definitely don't go to Daily Motion and watch all of the zones. Free. Don't do that.
Don't do that. Definitely don't do that. It's not just probably borderline theft. It's also bad for boxing. So definitely don't do that.
Don't be pirates. Okay. Like, come on. And also don't go to First Row Sports and watch the PBC pay-per-views for free either, guys. Don't do that. That's very bad. What was I talking about before that? Fuck. I was on a good one. What was I going to say? Fuck. What were we even talking about? Oh, Ryan Garcia, Luke Campbell.
Yeah.
No, all right. No, it's not just because he's with Canelo. Because, for example, Oscar Valdez is in the Canelo team.
But there's too much bad blood there. Like, you were indifferent on Ryan Garcia. You were never indifferent on Valdez.
There's bad blood there. It's funny because, all the times I've met Valdez, he's so nice, right? He's such a good guy. But, oh, my God, what an overrated fucking boxer, man. Oh, my God. And, obviously, his work with Eddie Ernesto has not helped him at all. He's just him. That he reaches plateau, his ultimate form, and it's just kind of, Ryan Garcia is one of those guys where if he pans out, and what I mean by panning out, I mean he wins a few championships, he has a bunch of fun fights, he's going to be really good for the sport, in my opinion. If that's what happens, you can lose some fights here and there, but as long as he's, perennially a top 5 to 10 guy for the next 5 to 10 years, the sport is better off for it. So I kind of am rooting for Ryan Garcia in that way, right? That I think the sport is better off with him in it, better off with him being successful in it to a degree. I also think that he has been improving a lot. And I mean, this, I think anyone that has been watching me for a long time or that has been, listening to me for a long time knows that when it comes to prospects, if you make improvements, I jump on bandwagons quite easily if I see any improvement. That's all I need. If I see any market improvement from fight to fight as a prospect and you're highly touted, boom, I'm going to be on your bandwagon. It's the fighters that kind of just keep doing the same stuff, kind of keep looking the same. I become indifferent to, and grossly indifferent to. Ryan Garcia hasn't done that. I think he is improved from fight to fight. I think his time with Eddie Ernesto has helped him a lot. I think from a personal standpoint, I've loved his fight against Oscar De La Hoya and Golden Boy Promotions. I love that shit. So, yeah, I kind of like Ryan Garcia. As a fan, I'm a fan of the dude. I think he's good for the sport. I think he's also a pretty decent fighter, too. I think he is super athletic. He has a lot of power. His speed is unbelievable. And his technique is finally starting to catch up to his athletic ability. And that was lacking, sorely. Luke Campbell should be the favorite, though. Luke Campbell should win a decision here, in my opinion.
But you're picking Garcia by knockout.
I'm picking Ryan Garcia by knockout.
Okay.
And that's probably more just the fan pick, more than anything. If you, Foo, and Rob come in here and say, yeah, we're picking Luke Campbell by decision, how can I argue against that? Luke Campbell has a better jab, better sense of fundamentals, better sense of boxing IQ. We've had more time in the ring with him against higher level competition, so we've seen him perform better. So it would make sense to pick Luke Campbell. But
although this is an athletic competition, right? And athleticism and power and strength kind of matter,
Absolutely. And like I said, the version of Ryan Garcia that we saw struggle with Jason Velez on ESPN years ago now, it's not the same version anymore. And
that win in retrospect is not that bad because he was 19 when he had that fight, and he did beat Velez.
It's not. But remember, that was a win that he got criticized a lot in.
Yeah, no, you're right. He did, and I was one of them.
He looked robotic. He looked stiff in there. He didn't look natural in that fight. Ever since then, he's improved drastically, markedly improved. And I think we're going to see a huge leap up in this performance too. Like if all of a sudden we see Ryan Garcia have the better jab, Luke Campbell be the better boxer, that maybe shouldn't be surprising to the Luke Campbell fans because that kind of just happens. Luke Campbell is now in his mid-30s.
I mean, probably at least 33, I would say. Probably 34, something like that. 33, 34, yeah.
He's one of those guys where, like, he's going to get better. Like, we got the Luke Campbell. Like, we got the best version of him. Do we have the version of Ryan Garcia yet? No.
No, but I'm saying, is the timing right then? Right? I agree we haven't gotten the best version of Ryan Garcia. He's 21, right?
I would say the timing is wrong in the sense that I would have liked a couple steps up before you fight a top 5 guy, right? But this division is a little bit top heavy, to be honest. So I don't mind him taking the leap up. And I've been begging guys like Devin Haney and Shakur Stevenson to take a fucking leap up in competition forever now.
Like Tanahara is.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that. Don't worry. I'm gonna give you some props.
I'm just like that, correct?
Look, he's gonna lose that fight, but God bless him for trying. Okay. God bless Ryan Garcia for trying. If he loses, then so.
If he loses, he loses. As long as he doesn't get blown out. Well, I mean, even if he gets blown out, and I'm not saying he is, he's not. But Erickson Lubin got blown out, and he's back.
Well, you know why? Because he fought nobodies until he fought Jamel Charlo, lost drastically, and then fought who did he fight after that? Ishe Smith.
Yeah,
and like Ishe Smith was the best opponent he had fought other than Jamel Charlo, and he Ishe Smith in really impressive fashion. So I was like, oh wow. That was the version of Erickson Lubin we wanted to see. If Ryan Garcia loses Luke Campbell and then fights like Fortuna and beats him, like, wow.
Fine. Yeah, it's fine. The loss is not that bad. I mean, look, when you used to fight 3 times a year, you had more time to change the public perspective. But even only fighting twice a year, it's not that bad. Like a loss, as long if it's a decent loss, whatever that means to a top-notch fighter, who cares? Like. That's what happened when good fighters fight each other. They beat each other.
The Fox schedule got announced. We're not going to go into it in depth because it's kind of shitty, to be honest. It just is. It's not a good schedule at all. It's only Laura main event on Fox. Like that main event shitty, but look at Laura. I mean, how many losses has he taken? He's still in the top. People still talk about him highly. People still want to see him in relevant fights.
Because all the losses he's taken, there's a good argument he won. I've scored each fight for him, except for the Molina draw. I thought Molina won that fight, but whatever. All of his losses are wins, and his draw is probably a loss. But Laura's got no luck with the judges.
Triple G, I mean, he's lost like at least 3 times unofficially.
Oh, and the other draw, the draw to Castano. I don't know. Like that, every time you score, I kind of score it differently because it's such a style contrast of styles. But you could argue Castano won that fight.
No, you can easily argue that Castano beat Laura. Like that's not a hard argument to make.
Saying his losses are wins and his draws are probably losses with Laura. Like he's probably got the benefit of the doubt in the draws, and he's got screwed in the losses. I mean, he didn't get screwed in the hard loss. I had him winning by 1 point in a fight of the year, but like the other 2 losses, the Paul Williams and Canelo fight those were horrible. Paul Williams, all the judges got suspended following the fight.
I'm not arguing Paul Williams, but the fact that you combine Paul Williams with the Canelo decision is just ludicrous. Like those fights are not the same. One fight had action and it was clear who won it and got ripped off. The other fight had no action. Nothing effective happened for 12 rounds. For 36 minutes, nothing happened. And one guy got his hand raised. Like it's not the same.
No, but Laura won all the rounds, right? I mean,
no.
It was kind of like the middle rounds of Fury versus Wilder. It's like Fury's winning the rounds. Like not much is happening, but Fury's winning.
No.
Mosley versus Sergio Mora. Who do you think won that? Worst fight ever. There was like 12 punches landed.
Dude, did you see that the Zone did a live stream on their YouTube channel with Sergio Mora and what the dumbass dude that's with him, Todd Grisham? Todd Grisham?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I fucking hate Todd Grisham. And they were watching Mosley Mora, and they did this live stream during the Jamal James card as like counter programming.
Yeah.
Who
wants to go back and watch that? That was on pay-per-view. I paid for it. I'm like, oh gosh. And I was a huge Mosley fan, right? I'm watching this fight. I'm trying to give the close rounds to Mosley, and I'm watching like, I don't know that Mosley won any of these rounds, really. Like, this is so bad. And they came back and it got a draw. Moore probably won, but no one deserved to get a victory in that fight. So a draw was fine.
Yeah, that's kind of like Canelo Lara, in my opinion. Like that should have been a draw because nothing happened.
The 117, 111 scorecard, that was unique.
Well, it's like the fucking
or whatever, yeah.
Like the Canelo scorecard for the Mayweather fight, right? It's like
that's the word. Everyone talks about the 118 with that. The 114, 114 is amazing. I talked to my brother after the fight. He called me. He's like, how'd you score? I was like, I had a 10-2. He's like, you got 2 rounds for Canelo? Well, that was generous. And then CJ was in a draw. I was like, how did you score? I'm like, 12-0. I'm like, you didn't even give the last round to Canelo. I was like, Canelo still didn't land anything in the last round, right? So it's like, how did you get 6 rounds for Canelo in that fight? I mean, that is amazing.
It's so weird going back and watching like Canelo versus like Shane Mosley, for example, or like Canelo versus Mayweather, or Canelo versus like any of those like Matthew Hatton fights, right? Like all those like shitty fights, and then watching this version of Canelo, like anything after like from Cotto on, is a different Canelo Alvarez, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe it's the PDs, I don't know, but like whatever it's good for him.
If you were going to get Canelo Mayweather, it was going to happen in 2 circumstances. Canelo wasn't at his peak yet, or Mayweather was past his peak. Mayweather's the draw, right? Mayweather's the bigger name, so he's like, we're going to do this now. Right now,
I'm still good.
Yeah. Well, it's fair because Canelo's obviously the much bigger guy. Mm-hmm. So I take it before you're ready, and I take it at the bigger weight class.
Though, I mean, now Canelo is obviously the bigger guy, but like back then, Canelo wasn't obviously the bigger guy.
No, I mean, he comes up, and he was 22 at the time.
Liam Roscoe saying Horn to Zoo in 2 weeks. Damn, that's 2 weeks away. That's a good fight.
It is. It's
a really good fight. Who are you picking in that one?
Horn.
I'm picking Sue. I'm picking Tim Sue.
I'll take Zoo too.
It's the younger generation's time now, man.
The last time I picked Zoo was against Ricky Hatton. Look how that turned out.
I think just for a just like a matter of principle right now, I'm going to pick all the younger guys against the older guys.
All right, I'm going to pick the older guys except for Tanahara. I'll take Horn. Horn's a beast. Like Horn is a strong.
No, he's not.
No, he's not a beast. That's way over. You never let me get away with my gross overstatements, like ever. Like,
I'm sorry, Gary. You could be hyperbolic like I do sometimes, and you just go. I apologize.
What I'm saying is, he's a physical mess. He's a really physical, strong guy. I don't mean he's a beast like he's a beast of a fighter. I mean he's a beast of a man. Like he's a strong guy. You know, when Bradley was talking about that fight, he was like, I couldn't do that to Pacquiao. Like I couldn't walk him back and push him around like that. And I fought him 3 times. You know,
Bradley's 5'2". Okay,
he looks pretty strong though. I mean, sometimes that's all show and stuff, but like I don't know, he looks pretty physically strong for a welterweight to me.
Hey, but with Jeff Horn's like little the little frohawk thing that he has going on, he's at least like 6'5". He's taller than Jared Hurd easily with that. But I think you're right. Like Jeff Horn's a big guy. I mean, he went up to middleweight, for fuck's sake, you know, while fighting guys like Manny Pacquiao and Crawford, who fought at lightweight and even lower in Pacquiao's sense. But Horn's always been really up and down in terms of performance. I also think for some reason the damage has really affected him. Like you look in the fights he's had, the rematch with what's his name. We got knocked down the first fight and then had to win the second one. Remember what's the stripper? The guy that Peter Quillen fought, remember? And Kell Brook fought.
The stripper?
He was a male stripper. Come on, man. What's his name? All right. Gary, you talk here for a second.
Okay.
Okay, because what's his name?
I mean, I'm sure once he says the name, I'll know exactly who it is, but I just have no idea who a male stripper is. I was going to be a stripper, but I do the show instead because obviously I'm very good looking and physically fit. So it's obviously a joke, but I do have excellent hair. That is undeniable.
Fucking hate box, right?
Does it make you sign in again?
Yes, man.
Why does it do that? It's so annoying.
Oh
Who do I complain to at Box Rec about that? It's a UK thing, right? It's out of the UK.
no, I don't think so.
I thought it was.
No, what's his name is a Yank.
Yankees are people from the north.
Michael Zafara.
I was gonna say I had no idea he was a male stripper.
Michael Zafara was
Quillen fought him? Oh, you're right. He did. He did.
Yeah, way back in the day, man. When he was at middleweight, obviously, not blown out over the hill super middleweight.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, that Michael Zafara, he was a male stripper.
You learn something new every day.
Yeah, he was in Magic Mike, bro.
Where's he from, Zafara?
I don't know.
Okay.
I think the U.S. somewhere.
Okay.
I don't know. Michael Zafara is definitely not one of those guys I researched. I just remember him being a male stripper, and that was like I'm not gonna say a promo point when he fought Krillin, but I remember them talking about it on the telecast.
Can't we just leave that be? I mean, how is that like? Who's gonna watch the fight because he's a male stripper? Like, how does that add intrigue to the fight?
You want the female viewership, man.
Okay, I guess no. All right, fair enough.
I'll be honest. I remember at I was young, probably maybe like 10 or 11. I was at my house watching a UFC card. George St. Pierre was fighting, and my sister and her friends were there, and all of them stayed and watched the fight because of George St. Pierre and his tight shorts.
Okay, I guess it's the equivalent of the tennis player. You may be too young for this. It was a Russian tennis player, Anna Kournikova. She wasn't even any good. Like, she never won anything. She usually get bounced in the first round, but she had. A lot of guys found her attractive, to say the least. So, like, she brought in all these ratings and endorsements and stuff. Well, she was no good.
Well, it's like watching it, even though she was, somewhat talented, she was never better than the Williams sisters. Was Sharapova, right? Maria Sharapova, right? Was that her name?
Is that the one who dated Paul Gasol?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes. She was she got tons of endorsements and stuff because she was a cute, blonde white girl. That always helps. And Liam Roscoe saying that Zafar was Australian. So I was wrong.
Okay.
Apologies.
By a lot. Not even close. Other side of the planet.
Okay. Fuck you, Gary. Anyways, let's talk about your fight, Fortuna Tanahara. It's most likely happening, guys, because it's not official, right?
No.
Right. Dan Rayfield saying Fortuna versus Tanahara looking likely with the withdrawal of Linares. Linares does not have COVID, but he did get injured, I think, is what happened, right?
Yeah. Yes. Food poisoning.
Oh, it's food poisoning, not injury. Okay. Good. That's better then. Because food poisoning, like, you can get over that.
You get over it in 24 to 48. But it can be so I've had it. It can be so bad for those 24 hours. So bad.
Rough. I love this fight. And actually, I like this fight a lot more than the original. I like this fight a lot more than Linares Fortuna. This fight has, I think, more divisional relevance and meaning behind it because if Tanahara wins this, first off, he has a better win than guys like Shakur Stevenson and Devin Haney have, respectively.
And Ryan Garcia, unless Garcia beats Campbell.
Unless he beats Campbell. But I'm picking him to beat Campbell. And I'm probably going to pick, Tanahara to beat Fortuna. So Ryan Garcia is going to have the better win when it comes down to it.
But just by a little bit, right? I agree Campbell's better than Fortuna, but just by a little bit. When that fight almost happened, I picked Campbell. Campbell's better. I agree. But it's not like there's levels and classes between the two. I think Campbell's slightly better than Fortuna.
Okay. Fine. I'll agree with you.
What happened to the Campbell-Fortuna fight? Like that, I thought that was all but done. And then it just went away.
I don't know. But digressing. What was I saying? I love this fight. I think it, again, has relevance. If Tanahara wins this, he's automatically a contender for a title, in my opinion. And he should be getting a title fight next. Like, if he beats Fortuna, then Haney, I think, would make a lot of sense next. The winner of Ryan Garcia, Luke Campbell, even though it's not a title fight, that's a big fight.
They'll get him a WBA regular belt. South Texas has a run on WBA regulars. I do. They got 3 of them.
I hate bodies. Ever since they made me pay to go to a convention and then not give me access, fuck the sanctioning bodies.
Did they not give you access?
No.
Oh, is that now?
Yeah, that's been going on all week.
So why did you pay and then they give you? You get your,
Dude, I didn't get a single email access link, anything. No, nothing. Didn't get a confirmation. I got charged though. That's for sure.
I was gonna say, make sure you got charged. Yeah,
I got charged.
I'd be pissed. You get your money, but you don't even know who to contact, right?
You want to contact Suleiman and be like, "Yo, let me get my $25 back."
I would just cancel on my credit card.
Oh, I could do that. You're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
And let them battle it out. Like,
Gary,
yeah,
something's wrong with your mic. Oh, now it's better. You might have just been touching with your beard.
Oh, probably.
I was like, "What's that noise?" It's freaking me out. But anyways, yeah, fuck the WBC. We were saying Fortuna Tanahara. I hope the winner of it gets a big fight next. That's all I'll say. And if Tanahara cannot win just off the jab, he will lose this fight. I'll say that.
Well, yes. Yes.
But you say yes like that. Oh, that's yes. Like you can just throw the jab out and win. But no, that's gonna be a struggle.
Well, yeah, but that's his path to victory, right? Like, yeah.
But he might not win that battle. And if he doesn't win that battle, it's automatically, oh shit. He doesn't have anything for Fortuna, in my opinion.
Look, this is a major step up for Tanahara, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly. It's the biggest fight of his career. I'm gonna pick him to win, obviously, on points. You're right, he can't win the fight in any other fashion besides outside off the jab, moving around. But the rest of his game is pretty good. Like, his skills are so sharp. Like, I don't know how much better Tanahara is going to get because, like, there's not all-world athleticism. There's not great power. He's a fundamental fighter with great fundamentals and, pretty good speed, good footwork. Like, everything is good. Like, I would pick him to beat Haney now. 3 years, 4 years from now, probably not. He's like, Fortuna's really good. Fortuna had a WBA regular, but
I know you like both guys. Who do you like better? Or who do you think's the better fighter? Franco or Tanahara?
Tanahara is the pure better boxer. Franco's got like pop and stuff. Tanahara is the better pure boxer. Tanahara's skills are really good. I don't know why you don't like him.
I didn't say I didn't like him.
Why you don't love them?
I see a limit to those skills. And that's the issue. You view him as like one of the next guys. I don't. I view him as like a next contender.
He'll win a belt. A major belt, not the WBA regular. One of the four majors.
Like Haney has a belt or like an actual belt?
No, he'll win a belt. Not be given one via email. He will win a belt.
I don't think so. I mean, look at who he has to beat right now.
But those guys, Haney and Lopez, are going to leave the division. Tanahara's not. Tanahara, this is how he goes, I think, is 135. He started at 130. He doesn't have the size or the power or the strength to go up with Haney and Lopez. Those guys are much bigger than him.
Okay, let's say for argument's sake here that you don't have that out. You don't have that deflection. Oh, these guys won't be in the division anymore, so you want to fight these really talented fighters. What if they are in the division still?
Okay, then I think he can beat Haney at this point. So if he fights Haney
doesn't have a real belt. So fighting and beating Haney for his belt
doesn't have a real belt. Okay, I mean that's fair.
It's not. It's just the fact.
I don't think he beats Lopez, but I think but I think the rest of
Loma, right?
Garcia, Haney. At this point, I think he beats those guys.
Well, they don't have a belt, so it doesn't matter.
No, they don't. They don't.
We're about to have one champion in this division, theoretically, right? It's either Loma or Lopez, and Tanahara's not beating that guy.
The kid's 23. He's got 10 more years in the division. I'm not saying he's going to win a belt tomorrow, right? Like, he's got 10 more years to get a belt until he starts to get old. Like, he's got 10 years till he's Luke Campbell's age. A decade. He'll get a belt in that time. He's really good.
So you're hoping that the division just gets worse off and, like, all the top guys leave and then he can just get a belt.
Win a belt. Win a belt.
Get a belt.
Win a belt.
For a vacant title fight.
Potentially. Or obviously someone who won the belt in a vacant title fight. Or just go, I mean, you don't count Haney's belt, which is fair to not count Haney's belt, right? Like, that's totally legitimate.
But here's the thing, Gary. Like, imagine if I was like, you know what? Well, let me think about this. Let me think about a good comparison here.
Do you think Ryan Garcia is going to get a belt?
I don't know. Oh, yes, at some point.
Okay, then you're just going to give him one? He's just going to get one? He's just going to win a vacant belt?
He's going to win a belt. I could see him beating Lopez at some point. What?
In a modeling contest or in a boxing match?
That'd be actually really tough. Here's the thing. We know all these guys are going to move up, in my opinion. None of these guys are going to stay at 135 the whole career. Like, that just is so rare for that to happen. Especially the guys that are young starting off, right? When you're 19 and you're already in the pros, you're moving up divisions just naturally.
I mean,
like
Keith Thurman stayed at 147 his whole career.
Yeah, but Keith Thurman had a long ass amateur career.
He did a good one too.
He didn't enter the pros till he was probably closer to Tanahara's age, honestly.
Yeah.
You know, he was kind of a late starter in a way, in terms of just like starting the pros late. That's kind of the difference. Tanahara doesn't have the long amateur career. He started the pros earlier. So, you know, he's going to be moving up weight classes. Same with like Ryan.
Well, he started at 130.
Cool. He's going to be moving up another weight class. I guarantee he's going to be at 140 at some point.
The guy's at 140. Like, but Regis Prograde, those guys are so much bigger than him.
They're going to move up too. It's okay. Like, you're going to see a lot of these guys move up and contend with each other at a different division. Like, that's going to happen. You're going to see like the occasional guys that are disjointed from them in a way and try to catch up. Similar to, like, let's say, like Danny Garcia catching up to the other welterweights, right?
Yeah.
Because he had to move up a division, then catch up with his peers, so to speak. You're going to see something like that, like maybe like Chris Colbert moving up, stuff like that. Miguel Burchelt moving up. Trying to think of other prospects at 130 that could be moving up as well. You know, Joe Cordina. But
you love Joe Cordina.
Yeah, and
didn't he move down? Wasn't he at 35 and went to 30?
Yes. Yeah. But you move up again, I think.
Probably.
When the weight cut starts getting a little bit too much and you don't want to do that, they move up. But digressing. Look, I'll say this since I'm rambling. Tanahara can win a belt. Same way that Ryan Garcia can win a belt. Am I picking them to beat any of the quote-unquote top guys right now? Probably not. And I see them beating the top guys a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. Kind of no still, to be honest.
But like the two top guys in that division, one's a Hall of Famer, and the other looks like he's the future of boxing, right? So it's like those guys are really, really good. Like one guy's legendary good almost, and the other guy looks like he may be legendary good, but it's way too soon to tell.
Well, let's go to 140 then. Let's say like all those guys are still there. The Prograis, the Ramirez's, the Postals, the Taylors, they're all still at 140 somehow. All of these young 135 pounders have matured, moved up, all still top guys, right? They've improved too. Mm-hmm. Are they going to just like you think they're not? You think they're going to beat Prograis? You think they're going to beat Taylor? You think they're going to beat?
No, you can't just assume that, right? But Teofimo Lopez looks. I mean, those guys at 140, especially the top three. If we conclude Ramirez with Ramirez, Taylor, and Regis, those guys are really good, man. Those guys are really good. No, I can't just say Lopez or Haney is just going to beat those guys. Oh, maybe they could, right? They're not going to be outclassed, certainly.
That's my point. Yeah. Like when we talk about like Ryan and Tanahara like fighting the top two guys right now, and he's like, well, look at the top two. They're just so much better than the other competition. Well, like if they were to move up and fight a deeper division, in my opinion, which is 140, a better division 140, they could still be competitive there. Like these guys are very talented. Ryan Garcia is a very talented fighter. Tanahara is a very talented fighter. They will be competitive even in losses, in my opinion. Like when they fight the Lomas, the Lopez's, the Haneys, or they move up and fight the Prograises, the Taylors, the Postals of the world, they're going to be ultra competitive, even if they lose. And they're going to be perennial top guys, in my opinion, even if they lose. So I think what I'm trying to get to is like, if Tanahara or Garcia never win a belt, that really doesn't matter. I don't think that's going to really define their value or like how entertaining they could be, right? Like Tanahara is going to be that consistent B guy where he has a B in everything in terms of ability, like that B to B plus. He's 85, 88 out of 100 in Fight Night Champions, right? Like he's really good, but he's not the greatest. He's going to be fun. He's going to be a great B side. Garcia's a superstar of the younger generation, so to speak, right? So he's going to be definitely needed for star value. He's a fun fighter too. So the argument or the question of, do you think they're going to win a belt? Do you think they're going to win a belt? Is maybe not the ultimate question that we should be having, because that doesn't automatically tell you the legacy that these two guys will have.
That's true. No, that's absolutely true.
You know, that's kind of what I want to get at. I know I've been rambling. Sorry, it's one of those shows. Been scatterbrained today.
When he gets a belt and Kendall Castanero gets a belt,
there
will be 4 fighters in San Antonio who have a belt.
Kendo's not getting a belt, man. Come on.
Kendall is tremendous.
He couldn't beat Zepeda.
You make it sound like Zepeda's no good.
But okay, Gary, like this one from
Pedraza couldn't beat Zepeda.
I just went on a rant about how we like we need to be nuanced about legacy this week, right? Yeah. And I said, like, look, I don't like he doesn't beat the best guys, right? Yeah, I don't think Kendo's gonna win a belt. He didn't beat Zepeda. That doesn't mean that Zepeda is bad or that Castaneda is bad. It just means that they're not.
He's got to beat those guys to win a belt. Oh, I get it. I'm just trying to.
I know. But
yeah,
fuck you, Gary. Moving on, let's get to Prograis leaving Lou DiBella, which was kind of a shock to me, to be honest. They both are in the process of finalizing a separation agreement. I will say that I like that both guys kept it out of the media, out of the public, and it seems to be a very amicable split. I do like that. Unless it's some hostile takeover that we're not hearing about. It seems like it's a friendly separation between a promotional company and a fighter, and that's very rare in this sport. So kudos to both men for that. But I am obviously extremely shocked that this is happening, and it's a sign that Prograis is probably going to sign with a top promoter coming soon. So, Gary, who is that top promoter? Who does he sign with? Is it Matchroom, Top Rank, PBC, and Heyman? Is it Golden Boy? And also thoughts on him leaving Lou DiBella.
It's not Golden Boy.
What? No.
I could make it. He's got a relationship with ESPN, so it could be Top Rank. They have talent at 140, but is he going to 147? If it's 147, obviously it's PBC, right? I mean, why would you go somewhere else? But he also, Lou has a good relationship now with Eddie Hearns, so maybe it's Matchroom. It's not Golden Boy. I could make a good argument that I think it's any of the other three, like a good one.
I don't think it's Matchroom because I don't think the Lou DiBella relationship matters anymore because Regis is not with Lou anymore. It's like that.
Why is it amicable? That's what I'm saying. Like, Lou doesn't have a whole lot left, right?
I think it's amicable because Lou at this point behaves different than most promoters.
He does.
And I kind of chalk it up to that he's in this sort of state, this sort of phase in his life, to make it really, generic, where he, I think, is thinking about the sport, about the industry in a different light than just a promoter that's trying to make events and collect a paycheck. So I can absolutely see Prograis coming to Lou, obviously, privately, because all this was done privately. I mean, it was amazing that we didn't hear anything about this before the news dropped. And said, man, I just want to go to a bigger promotional company, bigger network. I want the connections. I want to, that's the next step in my career. Nothing against you, Lou. Nothing but love for you, man. It's just the next step in my career. And for Lou to understand that. And even Lou has been on the record saying that he understands that, like, this is what happens. Like, he's the small promoter. So naturally, he's kind of a farm system to the bigger promotional companies.
He is a small promoter.
He doesn't like it, but he understands that that's his place in this industry.
He's got the fan favorite at 140 who was just in the fight of the year, who people had on that pound for pound list, probably too prematurely. Like, and he said he couldn't get a call. No one would call him about Regis. Like, no one was even slightly interested. Like, what do you do at that point?
Because Regis wasn't a draw.
He's not. He's a draw in New Orleans, obviously.
No, he wasn't.
He didn't draw well in that fight?
No. I mean, look, Regis is one of those guys where, like, he should be a bigger star than what he is, but he's not. And is that due to him being with Lou DiBella and being with a limited promotional company and not having any network ties? Possibly. But then again, he's aligned with Peter Berg and Mark Wahlberg, so you think that would help a lot, but I don't have a lot of faith in Mark Wahlberg and Peter Berg. Let's just be honest about that. That's another Rock Nation issue, in my opinion.
How's Wahlberg's burger place? The Wahlburger or whatever it's called.
It's probably shit, right?
I don't know. I heard it's like supposed to be like a step up, like a Steak Shack or something like that. Like, it's supposed to be a better burger, but I don't even know where one is. I don't even know if we have them in Texas.
Remember, like Mark Wahlberg, like was like an extremely racist person that like violently attacked black people back in the day.
No, was he really? No, I had no clue.
Yeah, he went to jail and shit for it.
Mark Wahlberg did?
Yeah, people don't talk about it. Well, it's the same thing like what's his name? Killed someone in Ireland, right? In a car accident. Is it Matthew Broderick?
Yes. I don't want to get that wrong. I don't want to,
Allegedly.
Yeah.
It's someone like that, right? But like no one talks about that shit, right?
Yeah.
That's Hollywood, man. Ew. I get off that one.
That's your town, bro, not mine.
Yeah, no.
Someone killed their investment partner over oil mineral rights. That's me. Hollywood, that's you. I did not say Johnny Manziel's dad did that. I did not say that. He definitely did not.
Oh my God, so good. Yeah, that story is crazy. I'll send you a link to the Mark Wahlberg story because I remember reading that and be like, no way. How did this dude get such a massive career after this?
So we're talking about Wahlberg, right? Like, what's the movie with the four brothers? Like they're all adopted. There's two white brothers, two black brothers, and they're like four brothers. Yeah. I'm like the four brothers. What's the name of that movie? Like it's four brothers. Yeah, there's four of them. They're all adopted. And they kill the mother. Like
that movie's.
The movie's called Four Brothers. Okay.
That movie's fantastic. I love it.
It really is.
Oh, anyway. I think because we didn't finish this. I think Progress signs with Top Rank.
Top Rank?
If I have to bet money, though, this is one of those where Top Rank hasn't been sending any checks to anyone lately. It looks like they're not giving any of their big stars big money. So like the idea of like them signing Regis Progress right now would be a little bit crazy, but they did just sign F.A. Ajagba, so maybe they will.
I say PBC.
I think Progress will hunt after Josh Taylor in that rematch. And that's why he goes to Top Rank. As well as right now, if you're smart, you are 100% going to use, hey, you have no one over there to fight Crawford at some point. I can fight Crawford. Give me the bag.
You're swaying me. I was going to say PBC because his plan was to move to 147, but you are now swaying me over to the 140, to the Top Rank side.
And he can have one or two more fights at 140, and then boom, jump up to 140. He can fight Jose Ramirez.
You're right. I changed my vote. Matt's persuaded me to go with. I was going to go with PBC. I'm going to go with Top Rank now.
I can absolutely see if someone is with Progress right now, like if someone is advising him or talking to him and saying, "Look, you're eventually going to 147. You're eventually going to do that. You should just go to PBC right now, go to 147 right now, and start fighting the big names, the big money fights, because that's going to make sense." I have no issue with that. That makes a ton of logical sense, and that's why that is absolutely possible, if not probable. But you can also use that same leverage against Top Rank, because Top Rank doesn't have that stable 147, and their biggest star, Crawford, is in desperate need of competition. So you have a lot of leverage to go to that promotional company and that network and say, "Give me the fucking bag," because you have no one for your biggest star. And guess what? Me and Crawford are going to sell in a press conference. We're going to sell in a promo package. Put me and Crawford on First Take, we're going to be drawing at each other. And it actually probably be a decent sellable fight too. Like it just makes a lot of sense as well. It's either Top Rank or PBC. It's not Golden Boy. It's not Matchroom. They don't have the level of options for Progress, and they don't have the personal sort of drive that a Josh Taylor rematch could have. Double I and Gloves Up Boxing are saying that it's PBC, saying like Adrian Broner PBC. Look, like I said, PBC makes a lot of sense, and long term, it's probably where he's going to end up. But if he wants to play mercenary right now, there's a bag to be had at Top Rank for a good like 3 to 5 fights, and then get out.
There is. That's why I think it's Top Rank, because he can get a Crawford fight. If you want to get a Spence fight, like there's a waiting list for that. If you want a Pacquiao fight, you're probably not going to get it because you're going to run out of time, right? Like you could walk into Top Rank and get a Crawford fight. It's fight one more time, either at 140 or 147, and then go right to the Crawford fight. Yeah,
that point exactly. There's a waiting list for those big fights at PBC because of the depth. It's not a bad thing, but he can just go take a side detour, fight Crawford for millions, and come back over as a free agent and go to PBC. Right? That's not out of the question at all. And I think that's probably the smart route to do. I've always I think, advocate for fighters to act a little more of a mercenary mindset when it comes to picking contracts up, picking fights up. It's prize fighting. Go get the biggest fight for the biggest prize. Like that's kind of how it is. Moving on though, unless you have any other thoughts about Prograis and DiBella.
No.
Move on. Joseph Diaz Jr. signing with MTK, becoming the first U.S. champion in their stable. They also picked up Lorenzo Simpson, who is a good prospect and amateur. I know he trains with Gervonta Davis, right?
Yes. I was just looking him up real quick. No, he does. He trains with
So it seems like MTK is making a move to the U.S. market. You know me, guys. We've been reporting and talking about the Dan O'Kinahan story and his connection to MTK now for months. So whenever I hear MTK in the news, I get a little bit wary. I get a little bit of a skeptical mindset of what is the ulterior motive here, because it started out allegedly as a money laundering scheme by a $1 billion drug cartel. Like that's what it just seems like. So now they're going forward and they seem to be expanding their company after all that backlash. That seems ballsy, in my opinion, right? To expand your corporation when you just received international backlash for who founded your company and who you're affiliated with. I just don't know if this is the right move for these fighters to be signing to MTK right now. Like, it's just odd to me. I don't know what to make of this, to be honest. I don't have a firm opinion about this yet. This is one of those stories where I wish I could come in here and rant about what I think about this, but I kind of don't know what to think about this.
That was my initial reaction too. It's interesting. I don't know what, but interesting. Like, do you know what MTK stands for?
What, Gary?
Mac the Knife.
Yeah.
Okay, you did know that.
Yeah.
I didn't. Okay. All right.
Yeah, it's stupid. Devil Eyes and MTK can. Oh, I'm sorry. MTK will sign anyone with 2 legs and 2 arms. I mean, that's true to agree. And Joseph Diaz is not in the Canelo boat, but he was out there publicly saying that Golden Boy has not been supportive of him. So for him to find a big management company to sort of have his back, that's not a bad idea. I don't know if it would be MTK that I would pick, because MTK doesn't have a history in the U.S. market, but I get why you're seeking out management company, management representation when you've been publicly sort of beefing with the promotional company. And it again hasn't been as notable as the Canelo beef or the Ryan Garcia beef, but it has been happening. So I'm curious to see if we see this beef, this tension between Joseph Diaz and Oscar and Eric Gomez actually develop more and more as like the Canelo beef did and the Ryan Garcia one did. That's to me what I'm thinking. This is Joseph Diaz trying to get out of a contract. It's Joseph Diaz trying to better his sort of business situation with Golden Boy.
Absolutely.
If I have to guess.
Absolutely.
Any other thoughts on this? Because again, I don't have a ton of thoughts on this. It's weird.
No, yeah, that was really my only reaction was interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I don't know what that means, but interesting.
Yeah.
Are we having a mob takeover boxing again in the U.S.? Is that what we're going?
That was a shot from the 3-point line right there, Gary. You made it. Way to go. Josh Taylor is back, guys, versus Apanun Konsong. I probably butchered that. Apologies. It's being lined up for September in London. I love this fight. I've been waiting for this mandatory for some time. I know I might be the only 5 people that care about this, but Apanun, as I'm going to call him, that dude can fucking throw down. Okay, I don't know if he's going to be like a champion or anything like that, but the dude's fun. He has great knockout ratio. He has great knockout power. He's kind of a brawler in that sense. So I think Josh Taylor is just clearly the better boxer of the two, and he should win this fight. But it should be some violent fun because Taylor can be sucked into a good violent fight. Gary, any thoughts?
Okay, first of all, I'm looking to the fight because I really like that last name, Kung Sung. I'm just gonna like saying that. It's a really good name.
I'm gonna struggle saying that. I hope you know.
It's a really, really good name. It's solid. I'm not. Yes, Kung Sung can punch. He's James Kirkland, bro. This is gonna be an outclassing.
Outclassing?
120. No, he stops him late. 9th round, 10th round stoppage, and it drops him 3 times. Do you know like Josh Taylor?
Yeah, the dude that has struggled in all of his big fights. Yeah, that dude.
He beat Regis Prograis, who he just was going to get a cross.
Barely.
He barely beat Regis Prograis. Yeah, that's a good win.
I didn't think he won.
I didn't think so either. But I mean, I think most people did. It wasn't out of the question that he lost. Like it was like that was a really close fight.
Exactly. Then you can't get on the fucking hill of like he beat Prograis. Kinda.
Okay. I mean, Prograis destroys Kung Sung too. Like I'm not saying like Taylor's the only one.
I'll put it this way: Kung Sung definitely destroys Terry Flanagan.
I can never outlive my past.
I hope Rob is somewhere listening to the show and dying from that joke. I hope he is. Rob, love you. You think he stops Kung Sung, man?
Yeah, I think Prograis stops him too. I think Ramirez stops him. He gets hit a ton.
So,
like those guys can punch. All 3 of those guys can punch. You're not going to get beat down. I mean, look, if he's incredibly rugged, like Provodnikov, and like he just doesn't care, maybe he goes the distance. But either way is when we're trying. I would pick a stoppage from any of the top 3 140 pounders.
I can't really argue against it because the more I think about it, the more I think like I wouldn't put a James Cookland comparison here. I put maybe more like a Carlos Adames comparison.
Okay, fine. Yeah.
Well, like Adames is good, but like if he fought any of those top 5 or 7 guys, it's not good for him because he gets hit too much. Like that's kind of what it is. I see your point. I see it. I'm not going to battle it too much. But Kung Sung definitely is going to beat Josh Taylor 120. 108. Okay, I'm calling it now. Just saying. The fight guy, Komio Miocic, 800,000 pay-per-view buys. I will talk about that hopefully today. Probably not today, if I'm being honest. Tomorrow. I'll do an MMA show with or without Anthony, and I'll talk about Cormier Miocic pay-per-view and all that stuff that's coming up this weekend. Moving on, because Josh Taylor, Kung Sung is a fight that's not official yet, so we'll talk about it when it gets official. Navarrete versus Magdaleno, purse bid, won by Top Rank. Top Rank battling Top Rank. Wow.
That's what I say. Who else was going to win that purse bid?
I don't know, man. I don't know. It was the lone promoter that was there. So, like, shocker. The purse bid was $250,000. That was the offer. That's cheap as fuck.
It really is.
Oh my god!
This is why you negotiate a deal, really.
But think about this, Gary. It's in Top Rank's best interest to put this into purse bid to where they can undercut their fighters.
You're right.
Because both guys should be getting paid probably about $250 each, right? Like they should be getting paid that by themselves, not combined.
Bob Arum called Navarrete the best Mexican fighter. The best, why are you paying him?
He called Loma the next Ali or better than Ali.
If you believe that, don't you want to pay him? Because obviously he's going to have a massive draw and fan base over time if he's that good. If you're saying he's Canelo or Chavez, like he's that good, then or Morales or Barrera, but pay the man. Don't let him leave. But he doesn't think that. Right? No one thinks that. I like Navarrete.
Promoters are the most exploitive people in this industry.
There are timeshare salesmen I trust more than promoters.
There are Republican politicians I trust more than promoters. And for anyone that knows me, knows how big of a leap I had to do to say that. And it's just true. Okay, at least they're honest about like hating like poor people and shit like that, like you're gonna have Bob Arum go out here and say like, yeah, we're doing it in the best interest for the fans and all that. He's just lying and he's just trying to rip off his fighters constantly. Look at Tifema Lopez. The dude's trying to get paid what he is rightfully earned, and everyone is saying that he is in the wrong because Bob Arum said so.
Yeah, when did Bob Arum become the daddy? Like what? The guy's got a track record of not being
It's the
an
Loma.
upstanding person, right? To say the least.
It's the Loma fans. Let's be honest.
I get it, but like, why would he take the money on such short money? No.
Loma fans hate Lopez so much they'd rather have their own fighter get undercut than see Lopez shine. It's okay. It's okay, Fu. We see you. Fucking Loma stan.
Boo, come on and let's hear your argument on why Lopez should take the money on take the fight on short money.
He's a legacy fighter. He just cares about his legacy. Fuck out of here. Okay, it's bad management and he's getting exploited by his promoter. He's a fucking simp. He's a bootlicker. Okay. You know, if I hear anyone argue that a fighter is taking less money is a good thing, like they're just an awful person. Like I hate them.
It's a dangerous career that can end at any point, and we know going into it, unless you're George Foreman, it ain't going to be a long one. Your time of making money is very short and very dangerous.
Yeah, I know. Peter Nelson, remember him, Gary? Peter Nelson?
Yes.
Apparently he still had a job.
Which is shocking because they don't have any sports on HBO.
But he now lost his job?
Well.
Or he left. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah. It looked like they were going to force him out, so he left on his own terms.
Yes. Way to get ahead of the curve, Peter. I don't know how this is news. This is why this is the back end of the show, guys, because I didn't think that we had to even talk about HBO sports anymore as like a boxing industry. And B, I also didn't think that Peter Nelson still had a job at HBO.
Why is Dan Rayfield reporting on this?
Oh, I mean, why wouldn't he?
I mean, you got nothing better to cover than this. You can't get any other story. You're supposed to have more contacts than anyone in the sport. This is what we're doing.
HBO was his only contact for a decade, Gary, a decade plus. Okay, I mean, he was the top ranked HBO guy, wasn't he? Like that was him. I'm not surprised that Dan Rayfield was the one that has the scoop on Peter Nelson leaving HBO Sports, but no one is asking for that scoop.
That's all I'm saying. It's like in the news of who cares, right? Like this is there was a time where Jerry Jones tweeted like the Cowboys are set to return to practice in Dallas on such and such a day. And he goes, in other news, nobody cares about the Dallas Stars played today. Like I feel like this is at that level. Like in other news, nobody cares about. Peter Nelson left HBO or is in the process of leaving HBO.
I bet Dan and Peter were tight, man. I'm just assuming that. Like that's why we're hearing about it, because he knows Peter personally. And he got a phone call or text message about it.
Do you think Peter asked for the publicity? Like, hey Dan, can you?
No, he didn't. When you're in Access Media, you don't have to ask for publicity. You know, if you go to a media guy and you tell him information, that he's going to go out and talk about the information. Like you don't. It does not need to be stated.
Okay.
Like that. That's the beauty of it, right? Like if I'm an Access Media guy and I have one of my sources come and tells me something and he doesn't say it's off the record, I am going on Twitter or writing an article about it the next day.
I'm just reading this article. Like, okay, where's he going? Where's he going? Is he go like oh? Like I'm reading this. I'm thinking, okay, he's got something worked out with DAZN, let's say, and I'm just reading this and I'm like, what the? Here. There's no there.
Gary, you threw that joke out there like it was nothing. No, he is definitely going to DAZN now.
Oh, you think so?
I mean, I don't know. If I had to guess, no. But for the sake of the story and the joke, yeah, I can 100% see DAZN, the company that clearly knows jack shit about promoting sports from a network perspective.
At least in America, yeah.
Sure, right? I have to give that caveat so because those fucking fanboys that comment, "Oh, DAZN's successful in Germany and Japan, blah 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 blah." Who gives a fuck? We're talking in America here, okay? that they're going to pick up Peter Nelson as like the guru of U.S. sports, just like they pick up John Skipper, who was basically shunned out of ESPN for a variety of reasons, which I implore everyone to go look up. I think DAZN has no idea what to do here, and getting Peter Nelson is completely on par for their brand. That's what I have to say. I mean, maybe like what's that one religious channel that has Austin Trout cards? Maybe goes there.
Which now they're in trouble because they had to cancel all of them. Impact Network.
Maybe goes there. I mean, like stuff like that. Maybe goes to Viacom. That's possible.
Who owns HBO? Time Warner?
Yes.
Wow.
I can see him going to Viacom. Because these execs all stay in the same 4 or 5 companies, right? Like,
yeah.
So if he goes from Time Warner to Viacom, that seems kind of in the realm of possibility. Now, what that would mean in Viacom, who knows? Because I mean, Viacom has tons of different properties. You know, is he working at Paramount Network? Is he working at Showtime? Is he working at CBS? Who knows? PSK saying Dan Rayfield's at the Athletic now, right? No, he's at the boxing scene. I would say is his predominant outlet now. I guess. Moving on, let's get to the fights that happened this last weekend, and then get to the fights this coming up weekend. First, let's talk about Terry Harper and Natasha Jonas putting on one of the fights of the years. Like this was, and also a fight that I was very wrong on, and Gary was absolutely right on. I mean, props to you, Gary. I mean, it doesn't erase the Terry Flanagan pick, but this is close, man. This is close. This is getting there. It helps. It helps your case. I thought Harper was going to come in there and kind of dominate, and she didn't. I mean, Jonas hurt her. I think it was in the 8th or 7th round, right? Hurt her bad with the combination. And she was just craftier. Like on the inside, she was able to land shots more. She was able to land shots with more power, too. It seemed like she clearly had the power advantage between the two. She may have been the faster opponent as well. And the boxing ability of Terry Harper was not as good, I think, as a lot of people predicted. Because she wasn't able to just get on her bike and outbox Jonas. She had to fight her fight because she was made to fight that fight. It was, again, really action-packed, back and forth. I have no issue with the scorecards being a draw, to be honest. I on fight night, I was like, I don't want to pick. I think I had it a draw, honestly, but I can't remember. It was super close. I want a rematch. I hope we get a rematch next.
Well, that's the good thing about a draw is who knows? But typically, when you get a draw, you get a rematch, right? Holyfield Lewis, Canelo Triple G. When you get a draw, you get a rematch. So that's what I'm saying. Like a draw sucks, I get it, but in this particular situation, I think a draw is a fair. I mean, I had Harper by 1 round, but a draw is the best outcome, I think, because no one deserved to lose, and then we get to see it again.
Yeah, and it was.
Hopefully,
this is probably up there for fight of the year. Like this might be.
I mean, Franco and Maloney would be the other one, I would guess, but yeah,
good. That was good. This might be better though. This was
so good.
Yeah, this was one of those fights that needed 3-minute rounds, and like Celia Brackett says, they need to get paid better too because they put on a beating on each other.
That's what I'm saying. The 3-minute rounds would have made it so interesting. Does Jonas break her down? Or does Jonas fade late because you can't keep that pressure up? Like, that's why 3-minute rounds are so much. The whole fight's 20 minutes, right? Like, we could do 30. Actually, we could do 36 because the 11th and 12th round, those are the championship rounds. That's that second win, let it all go rounds, right? Like, we can do 36 minutes. It's not. What did Suleiman said they can't because their brains are smaller or something? Like, what was his.
Because their brains are small.
I mean, it was something so ridiculous.
It was some phrenology type shit. It was like the tissue in women's brains are different than men's, or I forget exactly. I remember I read medical studies that you talked about, and medical studies were like really inconclusive.
Yeah,
and like marginal differences. So it was like,
let me just put something out there. Boxing's bad for your brain.
You know, I had an argument with Lou DiBella about this, like a real argument about this, because he was in favor of Mauricio Suleiman, saying that like women shouldn't have 3-minute rounds. I thought that was stupid. And as a guy that promotes women's boxing the way he does, counterproductive too. And I remember he started arguing that fights should be shorter anyways. I'm like, cool, I agree with you on that. If your argument is that women's fights are fine because fights overall should be shorter, that's a great argument. I kind of agree with you that we should probably shorten fights up overall because it's a 36-minute fight is a long time. You're getting a lot of brain damage, and if you're looking at other combat sports, they don't fight for as long as boxing does. Like any other combat sport does not fight as long as we do. We are the one that has these long Herculean rounds that we put in there. We don't do no other sport does that. So I'm in favor of that. But I'm not in favor of using that as an argument to say women's boxing is fine where it's at, but then simultaneously not doing anything about men's boxing. Because that's kind of what Ludabel's argument was. And that was shitty. I didn't like that.
The argument I would make is that it's finally selling and it's finally working. I'm not going to change it because it's working, right? Like women's boxing was so irrelevant for so long, from Chrissy Martin until Clarissa Shields. It was like nobody. I mean, Layla Ali, but that was it. It was one person people watched. That's it. You could never name the person she's fighting. There was no other person of interest. Even Brockhouse, I think, was coming on the scene, but no one really cared in America. And now it is. Like now it's headlining another card, right? It headlined a card last week. It's headlining a card this week. Like if I was making the case for 2-minute rounds, like it ain't broke, I ain't fixing it. That's what I would. That would be the argument, which was my initial argument until Matt was like, they train for 10-minute rounds, the 3-minute rounds. Like, why would you change it? Like, you're right. Now they have to readjust when they go in the ring. Yeah, just do 3-minute rounds.
Like the first minute of every round is kind of like a fill-out process. So half of a round in every round of women's boxing is a fill-out process. So half the fight, they're filling each other out. Like, that's why there's such a stunted momentum of women's fights, where it's like they finally get some momentum and it stops. They have to feel out the process again, feel out the range again, get it down. Boom, they start getting engaged, start activating in terms of like offense and volume, and then boom, round's over. They have to restart that process all over again. So that's why it's so hard to have sustained entertainment, sustained momentum in women's boxing fights. There's 3-minute rounds, you have more time for them to sort of, again, feel out the range, feel out the timing of their opponent, and to start actually engaging with each other. It's real simple. The fight guy saying 10 rounds is perfect. I don't disagree with that. Let's change the men's boxing to 10 rounds then.
That's what I'm saying. Okay, 10 rounds.
Like, I'm all in favor of that. Like, I'll be honest, boxing fights are fucking long.
Yeah, I mean, if you're saying for a medical safety thing, I can't really object to that. I mean, but
not only that, Ludabel's argument is more of a like time slot network perspective. Like, these are long fights. It takes an hour for a championship fight. That's a long time slot to take up just for one fight. If all fights were 20 to 25 minutes, you can put 2 championship fights in that 1 hour time slot. You get more bang for your buck.
Yeah, no, you have, but it's like the DH. I still don't like the DH, right? Like, you're changing the game. I mean, fine. Like, I medically, like, I can't really object to anything you're saying, except like I've grown accustomed to this. Now, I went from 15 to 12, right? But I never got used to 15.
Throw out the medical. Like,
just from a financial standpoint, from
an entertainment standpoint. Okay, we don't need to be watching boxing fights that are 36 minutes long, plus walkouts, plus talking heads. It's just ridiculous. Fights can be.
What about, do we really need to watch 9 innings of baseball?
Oh my God.
Tough. 18 holes of golf. Golf goes on all day.
It should be 9.
It should be 9. Get it over with.
Boxing, yeah. I mean, baseball, 6 innings. That makes sense to me.
Literally.
Am I crazy here? Like, am I taking crazy?
It's a lot. Baseball games are long. Like, if you don't have an interest in it, if you don't have an understanding of the game, boy, is that boring. Right? It's not like basketball, which you can put on, and it's fast tempo. It's a lot of scoring. It's high action. Boy, baseball can be like watching grass grow. I
mean, MMA has 25-minute title fights for women and men. That's a whole 11 minutes shorter. I'm telling you, at no point I'm like, man, I wish there was 11 more minutes of these guys punching each other and hurting each other. Or guess what? I need 11 more minutes of entertainment. That wasn't enough for me. No, it's usually good enough. I'm good. Let's move on. Like, that's, again, 25 minutes of just pure action, let alone time in between rounds, walkouts, talking heads. It just makes a lot of sense to have fights be shorter. And again, the undercard fights, I don't need 8-rounders, 6-rounders, put them all to 6 and 4-rounders. Just bump everything down 2 rounds. That's what I would do. The 4-rounders you had, make them 3-rounders, like amateur fights. That's what I would do.
4 is fine. 4 is fine. Just leave it at 4. You don't need to go to less than 4. You don't need 9 minutes amateur fights. You could do 4.
Whatever. If you're an 0-0 guy fighting like an 0-1 guy, I don't need to see 4 rounds of this.
It probably won't go 4 rounds, Although sometimes they do. And
those are bad.
Yeah.
Calvin the Chat saying cricket matches go on for 5 days. That's not possible.
I've heard this. I mean, I don't know about 5 days, but like it going more days. Like it doesn't end in a day. I don't know 5. I mean, he could be right. I have no idea.
That is.
I don't understand cricket. It's not like baseball. I played baseball my whole life. It ain't like baseball. They say,
Nope.
oh, it's like baseball. No, it's not. I understand baseball. I don't understand that game. But that and rugby. Oh, rugby is like American football. No, it's not. I don't even know what they're doing in rugby.
Scott Brown, you get more KOs with more rounds in boxing compared to MMA. That's not true. You know how I know that's not true? You didn't provide any evidence for it.
That doesn't make it not true. I could say
it is very simple here, okay? Was it Hitchens razor? Is that what it's called?
Hawkins razor.
Hawkins razor, right? If you present a statement without any evidence, I can just dismiss that statement without any evidence.
Then I can dismiss that one you just made.
We go round and round. It's perfect. Someone provides evidence. And guess what? That type of statement, I need empirical data on that.
No, obviously. I mean, it might be anecdotally true.
And as someone that watches both sports, that's not true.
I have no idea if it's true because I don't watch. But it's like if someone says to me, leadoff walk, how often is that person coming by and to score? I don't know, 30, 40%. It's like 65. Like, whoa, that can't be, right? So sometimes things seem anecdotally true, right? But then you see the evidence is like, it's not even close. I was way off.
The thing about this, most boxing fights go the distance, I feel like. Especially even
at the highest level, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, they go the distance.
In lower level fights, you get outmatched people. But at high level fights, I mean, they almost all go the distance.
Most of the time, they go the distance.
Dante Wilder. I mean, there are some exceptions, but most of the time.
You get the undercard fights where a guy is a great prospect fighting a bartender, and he knocks him out. Great. That's awesome. That's not indicative of more rounds equals more KOs. Right? Like, it's just not. Again, I need to see statistics, Scott. You keep saying statements. You get way more early KOs in MMA compared to boxing. Maybe more KOs early in low-level boxing. Again, statistical data. I bet John Nash has an article about that bloody elbow. I mean, go check that out. Let's talk about. Oh, any other thoughts about this card? Anthony Fowler was on it. I saw the knockout. I didn't see anything else.
There was a fight on before that was good. What? Give me you have the card up?
Yeah, I do. We have Chris Billings-Smith versus Nathan Thorley and Ivan Price versus Johnny Phillips.
It's been so long now. One of those guys. It might have been. Oh, it was CBS. Yeah, that guy's good. What's his name? Chris Billings-Smith. Is that it?
Billiam.
It's like William with a B, right? I guess they really wanted to call him Billy.
It's Billum because it's not like an I. So it's hard to read if you know.
Yeah, that guy's pretty good.
He was. I'll check him out. I'll check out the fight then. And plus, it's cruiserweight, so like the division isn't the most stacked, so the guys can jump up and be really fast. Look at Lawrence Okoli. He's not good, and he's fighting for the ball. That one's for Rob. Jamal James, Thomas Delorme fought on Fox, and this was a pretty good fight. I thought a really close and competitive fight as well. Jamal James, I thought he was clearly like winning rounds, but he never looked comfortable in there. So it had a very odd sort of complexion to the fight in a way. Like it just looked odd. Like the tone of it, the body language of both guys. Like Delorme looked like he was not in control, but like he was confident, like he was not concerned about what was happening, but he just wasn't being effective. And that was what hurt him. That Jamal James got on his bike, kept the jab, and was able to win enough rounds.
I couldn't disagree more. Like, I thought Jamal James looked spectacular. I think he fought exactly how he was supposed to. I think he fought the only way he could win the fight, and he executed it. I mean, it was like we don't always see Jamal James fight tall, but I said when he does it in spot, he does it well. He just doesn't do it enough, and he did it, and he stuck to it.
I don't disagree with that. I don't think anything you said just is in disagreement of what I said.
I like that. I don't think he looked uncomfortable. Is what I'm saying. I don't think he looked.
Oh no. As somebody that wants to be on the inside naturally, he looked uncomfortable being the guy on the outside throwing the jab.
Kind of like Anthony Joshua against Ruiz, where it's like this. Okay, all right.
Very similar to that, or even like not a 1-for-1 analog here, right? But like Jared Hurd in his fight against Francisco Quintana, where he was trying to be the outside guy, and
I get it. That's a gross over exaggeration. That was so bad.
Again, really gross over exaggeration or comparison. But again, that's sort of what it looked like, where Jamal James wasn't comfortable doing that game plan, but clearly that was the right game plan, and clearly he was sticking to it, being effective, and he won the fight. So like, there's no criticism to that to a degree in terms of like that's what he should have done. But clearly, if that's something that he needs to do more often in big fights, he needs to practice that more. Because I don't think his body language seemed like he was comfortable on the outside, throwing the jab, being the outside guy.
No, he's not going to beat Ugas like that or any of those guys. Like Ugas will get inside on that. And like the top guys, the Garcia, I mean, the Thurman, he beat those guys, period, no matter what he does.
His defense was still a little bit leaky in a way. You know, he was still hittable at times. His footwork was great. Like his lateral movement, his commitment to that, I think also needs to be applauded. A lot of guys, when they get sort of that pressure that Delorme was giving, they fold when that's not their natural style. Right? When they're trying to be the outside guy and trying to keep the jab and keep the distance, but that's not who they are naturally, they fold. He didn't. So props to him for that. But again, there was nothing in this fight that made me go, yeah, Jamal James turned the corner from a technical perspective. He's now the better fighter now. He can now contend with these top guys. It was just two guys that were kind of on the same level, but one guy had the better game plan. And he stuck to it. Like that's kind of what ended up winning the fight.
Like if you put Porter, an inside fighter, Porter destroys him. Porter walks through him.
Yeah.
Knocks him out, I think. Stops him.
Yeah. I kind of agree with that. But again, it was a good fight. I was impressed that Jamal James was able to stick to the game plan, but his performance was not so impressive that it made me go, Jamal James is now, he could beat a Danny Garcia or a Thurman. Like that just is not happening still. And I think nothing in this fight made my opinion on Jamal James or Delorme honestly shift. It was just a really good fight where one guy stuck to his game plan better than the other, which happens. Gary, any other thoughts on that main event?
I agree with that. No.
David Morrell defeated Lennox Allen, or how did Lennox Lewis?
Lennox or Lennox, they said, yeah, because they kept calling him Lennox Lewis.
Oh my god, that really bugged me. But David Morrell, holy fuck, man, this guy is good. I mean,
yeah, he's really skilled. I don't know. I want look. Obviously, he's good. He's got a ton of skills. I want to see him again against somebody better. I think he may get really, really uncomfortable with a pit bull in there. Right? Like you put a scrapper in there, someone who likes the brawl on the inside, he may get really uncomfortable.
David Morrell could give all the champions issues. He doesn't beat the champions right now, but he gives all of them issues. What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, he gives anyone. He's extraordinarily skilled. And
like I mean, he can beat everyone in this division, but those four guys right now. Like name them. Name anyone in this division in the top 10, top 15, top 20. He beats them all, except for those four guys right now. And he's probably only 2 or 3 or 4 fights at tops away from beating one of those guys.
And he's really young too. He's not like most of the Cuban fighters who come here. I guess you can come here legally now, right? Like, I guess like there should be more coming over. I don't really know how that works. I mean, you probably know that better,
Gary. As I answer that, because I see some people in the chat commenting about it. Can you please tell your kids to be a little more quiet?
Oh, sorry about that.
Is that possible? Can you go tell? Hey,
yeah.
Go do that, please. Thank you. I don't know the exact laws about Cuban immigration. But I do know it's a lot easier nowadays. So the idea or the narrative that he had to defect from Cuba, I don't know if it's as accurate as it once was because travel is now allowed. There are still plenty of economic sanctions against Cuba from the American government, but that's due to American imperialism, which is trash. But digressing, I think Darren Morrell against like a John Ryder would be really fascinating. Like somebody that again is a little more of that sort of pit bull. I think like Gary wants somebody that has fought really good competition. That would make a lot of sense to me. Kuziev over him. I don't know about that. Gary, thank you for that. By the way, sorry.
Yeah.
I mentioned John Ryder as a next opponent for Dave Morrell.
Yeah, that's exactly the name I was thinking of. Yeah, it's a good name.
Yeah, I would love that next. Also, Mikael Fox won as well against. He lost. Sorry, against Lucas Santamaria. Omar Juarez picked up a win against Willie Shaw. Vito Milanicki Jr. picked up a win. All right, that heavyweight fight against Michael Polite Coffee and Luis Eduardo Pena was actually a pretty fun little heavyweight slugfest. But obviously, Gary, I know you probably want to talk about Omar Juarez right now.
He looked good. I mean, it wasn't his best performance. I think the guy Willie Shaw was slick and he didn't really want to engage. But I mean, Juarez won all the rounds. Maybe he lost one. I think I had a 5-1. I mean, look, it wasn't his best performance. It wasn't a performance where you say, "Oh, this is it. This guy's the future." But I mean, it was a workman-like performance. It wasn't bad. It was decent enough. Like I wouldn't say it was a bad performance. It's the two performances he had prior. The one on the what undercard? It was Wilder Ortiz, I think, and then the one on the Ugas. He looked spectacular. This wasn't his best performance, but I mean, maybe there was rust. He hasn't been out of the ring that long ever in his whole career. It wasn't his best performance. I don't think it was bad by any means. It was. Rob would say decent enough.
Dalton Smith dog walks Omar Juarez.
Stop.
Dude, who has worse?
There's just a different level in skills between Juarez and Dalton Smith.
Look, here's the deal. Okay. Omar Juarez struggles to cut off the ring. Omar Juarez headhunts far too much.
I agree.
Omar Juarez has a little bit of a leaky defense. I could see Dalton Smith on his bike winning decision.
He better. No, he's not outboxing him. Juarez is way too fast for him.
But Willie Shaw almost did.
Willie Shaw won one round.
Yeah, but that's because he didn't throw a fucking punch.
Right. Yeah, because if you open up, you're going to get hit.
That's not true.
By Juarez, yes, it is. It's like Mayweather. You can open up, but you're not going to like what you get in return.
If he's not on the right angle to throw back, it doesn't matter.
I agree.
And clearly he's not. He was not in the right angle to throw his shots time and time and time again. That's why he missed so much.
There's a lot of skill. There's a lot of speed. There's good pop. He's 8 fights now into his career. I think he's progressed quite nicely.
Dalton Smith dog walks him.
There's no way. He's too fast and too skillful. Dalton Smith is going to be a fun fighter who's going to be in fun fights. I don't know that he's going to win a lot of those fights, though.
Same with Omar.
It's like Sam Eggington. It's like, okay, yeah, you put Eggington in a fight, it's going to be fun. I'm probably not going to win.
Who are some other nice prospects at 140 right now that I can say that beats Omar is? Oh, I'm on boxing right now. Let me pull this up. I want to troll a little bit more. Because next up we're going to talk about the fights coming up this weekend, which I think are actually pretty good fights. Even though we had the Martinez fight fall out, which is really sad. That Silly Brackets McCaskill fight is top-notch stuff. And shout out to Matchroom. I will, surprisingly give them a shout out. 2 events in a row, women's main events on top. I like that. Even though this one wasn't supposed to be, it is. So it's nice to see that the women get their due in the sport because it's deserved. Gary, who are some other prospects? Have you been looking up or just me now? Lewis Richardson, dog walks. Omar Juarez.
I mean, Richardson's a lot more experienced, but come on, Lewis Richardson is another ton of fun, and I like Lewis Richardson. I like him for since the first time I saw him against I forget the name. But do you see the skill set?
Malik Hawkins dog walks him.
There's an interesting one, right? And that's a PBC guy, Hawkins, right? Or A Mayweather guy or something like that?
Is he Mayweather?
But he would fight over there.
Yes.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah, I like that fight a lot. Sugarjin Ergashev. Dog walks him. Ergashev is good. I like Ergashev. Tyrone McKenna. Dog walks him.
Stop.
Dog walks him right now.
Stop.
Pablo Cesar Cano knocks him the fuck out.
He knocked Juarez. I mean, he knocked Linares out.
That's why exactly.
I mean, look, the kid's 8 fights into his career. You want to put him in with
Shakram Giazov knocks him out.
Cano arguably beat Paulie Malignaggi too, and Paulie Malignaggi got a hometown decision, like the first ever fight at the Barclays Center. Like Roberts, Pablo Cano.
Sobral Matias dog walks him.
He just got knocked out by a guy I never heard of. He did, and I was a Matias fan. I thought he was going to be a future champion. He got knocked out by a dude you never heard of. Did Juarez get knocked out by Willie Shaw? No, he dominated him.
He didn't get knocked out, and he's fighting Millie Calkins.
Matias didn't get knocked out.
No, he didn't get knocked out. He lost the decision, and it was a close decision.
No, I know. It was really, he was winning, and then he got knocked out a bunch of times. I thought he got knocked out. Okay,
he just got knocked down.
No, but okay, I thought it got stopped late,
and that's what lost him the fight. It's because
knockdown.
He's fighting Millie Calkins next. By the way, that's a
really I like that.
Fuck, what card is this at? Let me check this out. It's in October. Oh, it's the Lipinets Abacadorov card. Ooh,
that's gonna be fun. That's a fun card.
Ooh, Claudio Morero's on the card against what's his name? Zamber Martinez. What's his name? The super featherweight prospect that's like undefeated.
Xavier Martinez.
Thank you.
That guy's good. That's a Mayweather guy. That guy's good.
That's a little good card right there. Fuck.
Xavier Martinez is really good. I just wish Floyd Mayweather promoted his fights because that guy's good.
Yeah, everyone beats your boy right now. Sorry, man. It's okay. It happens. You know, he just got exposed against Willie Shaw.
He's 8 fights into his career. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is so silly. Like, no one said he's fighting for a world title tomorrow, right? Like, you know.
No,
like Barrio says, he's the present and Juarez is the future.
Did I mention any fighters that would beat him that were champions right now?
Cano probably had some belt at some point in his career.
Fuck that. No, he didn't.
Did he win any type of belt when he beat Linares? No.
He did.
Cano's a good fighter. Like, Cano's the guy you don't want to fight. Like, Cano is solid.
He's fought for like a few like international belts and stuff like that. Fuck. God damn it. Anyways, let's get out of this topic because I think I'm right. I've been proven to be right. What we're talking about. Yeah. Omar Juarez. He looked good though. He just did not look good enough. And Dalton Smith dog walks him. Moving on. Fights this weekend. Start chronologically speaking. It's Celia Brækhus fighting Jessica McCaskill on the DAZN main event. This fight should be really good, really fun, but Celia Brækhus should win decision here. McCaskill is durable. She's a game opponent, and she's a top like 5 or 10 opponent in her division too, respectively. But it's still like a level of difference between Brækhus, even though Brækhus is, I think, nearing the end of her career. She is just a different level than these other fighters. So I think she should win decision here just from her boxing ability alone. Also on the card, I'm just going to run down it. I think I'll take your thoughts on all these fights. Israel Madrimov, it's on the card against Eric Walker. Madrimov should win that one pretty handily. Eric Walker lost to guys like Patrick Day, rest in peace. And who else? That was kind of like of that tier. I forget. Shakram Giazov, who we just mentioned, is on this card against Weston Campos. Raymond Ford's on this card as well. Nikita Bobby and Mark Castro is making his pro debut. Gary, thoughts on this matchroom card?
It's good to see Castro. A lot of hype behind him. See how he looks as a pro. Bobby is always fun to watch, and I think he's gotten better from just being a KO artist. Like I think he's really sharpened his skills. And then obviously Madrimov is good to see. Like those fights are going to be one-sided. But then the main event, you put a play. I was trying to say that she was aging because you don't say a woman's age, right? At the end of her career, she's going to lose eventually.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take McCaskill.
It wouldn't be out of the question. I just don't think it's the probable pick, right? It's possible. It's not probable.
So fighters get old overnight, right? Like she's gonna lose. what is he like 500 and 0? Like, what is her record? Like, I've known like that name for I don't know 12, 13 years. She never loses. So you're gonna lose eventually, right? Like if Floyd Mayweather would have fought for 5 more years, he would have lost. Yeah, I'm gonna take McCaskill on a very, very close decision, but I think Baracus looks a little bit aged in the fight. I mean, not McCaskill. Baracus looks a little aged in the fight.
The way he said Baracus makes me think of the A Team.
Oh, B.A. Baracus? Bad attitude.
Oh my god! Do you know I've never seen an episode of that show?
It's way before your time. I mean, I grew up on the reruns.
I obviously saw the movie that came out with Liam Neeson and Rampage Jackson, but I mean, remember I don't know if this channel still exists, but it's called like TV Land. I want to say was the TV channel.
Yeah, it was an offshoot of Nickelodeon. Yeah, it had all those late night reruns.
It was owned by Nickelodeon. I didn't know that. Okay. But it would show like MASH reruns and shit like that, right? So that's how I would watch all the old shows. But like A-Team, I never saw that shit on TV Land. It was MASH 24/7.
And MASH was like I didn't.
Oh, I love MASH.
Did you?
Yeah, I like MASH. I like the movie more, but I like the show.
I never. I mean, it's fine. I just never really got like some people like you love it. Like it's fine.
Yeah, it's one of the classic like sitcoms in my opinion. But that's just me because I was raised on that fucking show. I watched that show.
Like my wife doesn't get Seinfeld or Curb Your Enthusiasm. Best and funniest shows ever. Those two, Seinfeld, Curb Your Enthusiasm. South Park is in the mix too, though.
Curb is so much. It's so relevant.
It's so ridiculous. Like he'll do so many like things like you never notice. Like there's always a wobbly table at a coffee shop. Why is that? And they did an episode on it. Like, why is that? Is this like a thing? Like if you own a coffee shop, you happen to buy wobbly tables?
The best is when what's his name? They're both in like New York or whatever, right? And the guys asking him, "You want to go get a bite to eat?" And he's like, "Why would we get a bite to eat? We never go out for food when we're in the same city. We live in that city. Why would we go get a bite to eat when we're on vacation?" That's the whole thing. Oh my god, that's so good. I might go back and watch that show right now because my kid's at my mom's, so I'm gonna go watch Career Enthusiasm after this show and just laugh. Oh fuck, what else do we have here? Oh, one more card, then we get out of here. David Benavidez versus Romel Alexis Angulo on Showtime. Also, Miguel Rivera versus Marcos Valencena Jr. Otto Wallin is on the card against Travis Kaufman. Carlos Negron versus Jonathan Rice. Rolando Romero versus Jackson Marinas. It's not the greatest card. It's definitely one of the Showtime's weaker cards, in my opinion. It's nice to see Michael Rivera. I always like him. I think he's a good prospect, lightweight division. Dave Benavidez, I think, is one of the best guys at 168. So nice to see him. Even though like Romero and Alexis Angulo isn't the greatest guy, he did pick up a good win against Anthony Sims Jr. In his last fight. So I can see why he got a big fight after that. And I am kind of curious to see how Otto Wallin looks, to be honest.
He's gonna look trash. He's not good. There's nothing like he's a punching bag. I mean, he's big and strong, and like he can last rounds. Like if you want to test, he's a good test for what was that heavyweight that Rob liked?
Which one?
I fought like 2 weeks ago. He's a matchroom heavyweight. He fought on
the you mean Fabio Wardley or
yeah, let him fight that guy. You know, let him fight Wallin, beat him up for a while, and if he goes through him easily, then he's good. If he can't, then it's like Otto Wallin has no skills. He was just big. Like he's just a bear. Like that guy's not good. What'd you like about him? That he almost stopped Fury? That was and I'm a Fury fan. That was such an indictment on Fury. You get clocked by Wilder. That's one thing. He got clocked a couple of times by Otto Wallin.
Wallin got robbed.
He did not get robbed, but I mean, like Terrence Crawford said, any other fighter from that cut, this fight's getting stopped. And that was a legal punch, so that fight gets stopped. You know what I'm saying? He loses by TKO to Otto Wallin. You're going to say he's robbed? They're robbed that like maybe they should have stopped the fight?
And they did that to my man, Vitaly, man. So shit happens.
Yeah, but did you see the state of the man's face?
That was good. Oh, fuck. Shout out to Otto Wallin, man. That gave me good ranting material on Tyson Fury for a good year, right? Like easily.
People say, "Oh, he could be a top 10." No, he can't. What do you like about him? What did you think he did that was impressive? Give me anything.
Gary, any other thoughts, man? Let's wrap this up. We've been on for a while.
No, I don't think Lynn's no good. Like, you're gonna see that he's no good. Like, Travis Kauffman's gonna beat him. I promise you that. Travis Kauffman is not the worst thing ever. Otto Valeen is.
I'm picking Otto.
I'm okay. I can't wait to come on and brag that I got Travis Kauffman.
Ooh.
That totally redeems my Flanagan pick.
Totally redeems yourself. Best comedy of all time right there.
Got that right.
And anyways, guys, that's gonna be it for MCR. Please go check out our new show, our new series over at Trending Now Network on YouTube. The General Strike Podcast. You can find that also, General Strike Podcast, on all podcast feeds or Trending Now Podcast. Me and Foo have done 2 podcasts. I released the first episode of a documentary series. It's really good stuff. It's political, it's history, it's philosophy, it's a lot of stuff that's not boxing. So that's why I probably like it a lot right now instead of this shitty ass industry. But guys, we'll be back on probably this weekend. I should be back on tomorrow with MMA show. General Strike Podcast, episode number 3 this Sunday. Episode number 2 of the documentary series about Karl Marx and Mikhail Bakunin coming out Monday, I believe is when it should come out. Script is almost done. Guys, have a great day, great evening, great night. Find me, Matt Hunter, MCR, all social media platforms. Gary, final thoughts.
Immediate reaction show. To wrap up all the news on Saturday after Kaufman beats Otto Valeen.
No.
Okay. What about after the matchroom card?
We can do a Sunday show.
Okay. Yeah, I know you have your other podcast on Sunday, so I don't know if you want to do both.
No, we can do both. I don't have my kid this Sunday, so we can do both.
All right. Find me all forms of social media, 3D Boxing blog, from Texas to the world. Thank you, and God bless.
Have a great day. Peace.